Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new live stream. Today we are talking about some of the biggest mistakes in crypto and how to avoid them for the 2025 bull run. There's a guarantee, unfortunately, a lot of us are going to get, a lot of us will get some of these things wrong and then suffer the consequences, unfortunately, in 2025, which means you may walk out equal, if not less fortunate than you were before, like right now. We don't want that. We want to avoid this, and the way we're going to avoid this is by listening to people that have lived to tell the tale through multiple bull runs and have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, whether it's paper money, as in whether it actually wasn't executed on, like with me. A lot of these coins I'm still holding, right? But I did lose that potential, and others, unfortunately, have realized those losses. So, how are you all doing today, guys? Shaq first in. Papa, what's going on, brother? Laurie's in the chat. 619. Major win in Congress yesterday. Mark, I agree, brother. Let's get the likes up, guys. Let's pump it up. Let's get this out to more people. Thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate it because everyone's got busy schedules, especially during the week. It's really, really hard for everyone to kind of jump on, and I get it. A lot of you guys in the US are waking up, probably going to the gym. A lot of you guys over in Europe, what is it? It's pretty much around 10 a.m. Wait, is it? Yeah, I think it's around like, what? Earlier in the day. You guys are doing your thing, probably at work. Dunny dodging, as we say over here in Australia, right? So, here's what we're going to do today. Now, the benefit of being in the Discord is that what I'm going to do from now on, every single one of these live streams, is ask you guys before I come on live any questions you might have for the live streams in particular. Now, I asked it, no one was expecting it today, so I only got one response, but we're going to actually answer that question. Then I'm going to move into some of my biggest mistakes I made and how to solve them, again, for the bull run, because this is the biggest problem with crypto. People think, I know, because this is like how I used to think, that, hey, it's crypto. Everyone makes money in crypto. Like, I always hear the good stories. I never hear the bad stories, right? But there's a lot more worse stories than there are good stories. We just hear the ones that people want to tell us, just like your favorite influencers, right? Or, on YouTube or Twitter, they always tend to tell you the good things. Hey, I made a 10x on this, and they didn't tell you about the times they lost all their money, right? So we want to make sure that we're bringing light to these problems and then finding the obvious solution to it, okay? So, we're going to go into some of those, and then I'll also go over some of the questions you guys have relating to this subject, because, again, I want to make sure that we are staying somewhat on topic here. Most importantly, we have an AMA after this in the Discord. So the link actually to that AMA live stream chat will be the first link down below. If you're not already in the Discord, it will make you join the Discord first, of course. And then we'll go ahead and jump on there in about 45 or so minutes. So you guys can come up on stage and verbally ask me questions. All right, we've got a few more people in the chat. Good morning, guys. Good morning, good evening if you're over here in Australia. Connor's back to 90, that's right. We're up a couple bucks. FOMOing this into this live. Can't make Discord though. Sorry, that's all good, Laurie. No problem, bro. Driving right now. We're listening, bro. Awesome, brother. Awesome. My main man, Frizz. CSPR looking real nice. Let's have a look, actually. We're going to open some charts up here in a second, and then I'm going to open up to the premise of the video. I think it's always good if we just, like, touch on the market, what the market's doing, like, for a few minutes here before every stream. 10 a.m., 11 a.m., awesome. You guys are cutting out a part of your morning for me. Now, mornings are the most important part of the day, I believe. Like, that's typically when most people are most switched on, so you're using computational power on me, I appreciate it. All right, guys, let's get into it. So, let me just switch over real quick. As you can see, guys, I feel like every time we switch the live stream on, Bitcoin's at 26,500, 300. I feel like it's just like moving around there. Obviously, it does move through the day, But it just feels like every time we touch on it, it's always between these two levels. The rest of the market is kind of following. Yeah, we have a little bit of dips here. I'm going to look at some of our projects that we've picked over here for our $5,000 portfolio. By the way, thank you to everyone that joined that live stream yesterday. It's very important you join these live streams and have a bit of an input because that portfolio is going to one of you. So, you know, you want to obviously have an input if you want to get it. Anyway. So let's have a quick look at the broader market really quickly here again. You said CSPR's down. I think, look, Polkadot, $4. I mean, I was screaming to the hills and back saying $5 was a good buy level. Chainlink is actually up quite a bit right now. Damn, I'm pretty sure it's like broken this massive trading range it's been in for the last... Oh, well, it's on the top of it anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a good time to buy Chainlink. You know, so that's my opinion anyway. XLM is kind of holding strong. Interestingly enough, right? Because a bit of a bummer for those who didn't get in before it pumped. Because, yeah, it definitely was a lot lower than this. 8, 9 cents, even dropped down to 7 cents. And now it's up a little bit. It is what it is. Like, tomato, tomato, right? In the grand scheme of things, this all adds up. You guys know it compounds in the end. But a lot of people will argue it doesn't really matter. And I kind of have to agree. Filecoin. Yeah, okay. Let's move back into the altcoins on our $5,000 portfolio. And as you can see, well, the first question we'll get into from a Discord member, Trap Nuts, love your username, mate. We're going to touch on maybe why it might not be a good time to buy altcoins right now, even though they are such a good price, because we're a collective here. I'm going to ask you guys to do a poll in a second. So, H-bar under 5 cents, what have I always said? I feel like every time I mention the word H-bar, I've got to I'm obligated to say two things. One, if you buy at or around the 5 cent mark, that's fantastic. And my price prediction is 69 cents. I feel like that's pretty much a given at this point. Quant up, man, about $2 I think or so. Again, like that's, you know, tomato. Like if Quant was, so like in respects to Stellar, right? Stellar was down to like, let's say 8 cents, 8, 9 cents, and it's up to 11 cents. That's like what, a 10, 20% increase. That is kind of sizable over time. In terms of Quant, $2 ain't that much of a deal. Whether we buy 80, 88 or 90 doesn't really matter. So that's a good price still. We're down $10. I mean, $100 was, I believe, still a pretty good price for Quant. Near Protocol, oh my God, it's getting very close to the $1 level. I can see Near breaking, almost did that here. I can see Near breaking the $1 mark quite soon here. It's going to be weird to see it at under $1, but yeah, of course, it's a fantastic buy in my opinion. What else? Moonbeam. You guys voted in Moonbeam yesterday. Replace it for Mina. I did close the stream after that, and I did quietly cry a little bit, but you guys know how much I love Moonbeam, so at least... it was a very short cry. XDC network. XDC's come down a little bit. Did pump up to, let's just say, 9 cents. I mean, look how powerful, guys. I mean, we're in a bear market. It 3x'd quite quickly over about, let's see here. Well, it was actually over a few weeks. Anyway, it's still very powerful, right? 3x'd. So what was the market cap back here? Around 500 mil? Yeah, so it's just to show you guys, we are literally running this bear market on fumes. We are running this on people who actually want to be in crypto. A lot of us are starting to come back into the market now based on just trying to make the most amount of money in 2025, but a lot of us have been here for a minimum 6 to 12 months. And it's just good to see that, this can sort of happen on fumes, right? Flux, you guys know, I'm not going to even open that chart. If it drops under 30 cents, my God, that's beautiful. I think it's even a great price right now. You guys know that the report I brought out on the Citigroup, Citigroup did a report, one of their subsidiaries, or at least wings of the company, said that one of the biggest and fastest to market industries is going to be distributed computing, which is obviously where Flux is. And like I told you guys months ago when I did my Flux reviews, what was I saying? I was saying that at the very bottom stack of cryptocurrency, you have your layers, you have where the protocol runs itself, the consensus, where the nodes sit. Well, beneath the nodes, what powers the nodes, right? Infrastructure, right? Software or hardware. Now, in most of cryptocurrency's case, it's software, okay? And a lot of that software people don't want to run on their daily computers. They don't want to buy a new computer either. So what do? You hire some space on a cloud, right? Cloud computing, and that's what Flux is. And so if all these servers, Amazon, Microsoft Azure, Google, your auntie's little side quest, you know, if they start shutting these things down, Flux is going to say, hey, welcome aboard. You know, we completely distributed cloud infra, and everyone's going to come over and hopefully use Flux in that case and then run cryptocurrency on top of Flux. Flux might be the very bottom layer. Well, we have layer 0, so what do we say here? Layer -1, that's Flux. LF0, you guys know LF0 is a great project, right? It's DAG, it's fast, it's new, it's doing a whole heap of things, privacy focus, so on and so forth. Awesome project. And actually, we pretty much are technically near all-time lows, I think. Sort of, yeah. Okay, so all-time low was about 60 cents. So yeah, we're not too far off. It's all-time low, which is great to see. So yeah, I mean, DCA for this is great. But here's the question. So all of this, and Moonriver, of course. I mean, I spoke last live stream about Moonriver potentially being a $600 project based on one of my Discord members. He pointed out a guy called Lee the Captain, I think on YouTube his YouTube name is. A smaller cryptocurrency guy. Does some pretty good videos from what I can see. And he said that $600 is possible at about 3.4 billion market cap. I haven't checked this. I haven't checked the supply. Suffice to say, even if all these tokens came out in the next 24 months, it's still going to be pretty well possible. We're not dealing with billions of tokens. So, I mean, it would still be, you know, 20% of the supply. So still a big shock, but nevertheless, I digress. I think a 3.4 billion market cap is definitely possible for this project. $600 token. So yeah, this is going to be one of our big moonshots. I think possibly. We're willing to risk it all at this point. So this brings me to my question was asked by a Discord member, Trap Nuts. If you're in here, brother, thank you so much for this. He said, do you think BTC will F around for another month or two and then drop, bringing alts down to a better buyer price, thus giving us better multiples? As you guys know, I strongly do believe a black swan event could possibly be here. I've seen a lot of people on crypto Twitter now saying, hey, the bull run's starting. A lot of big influencers too. A lot of respectable influencers. And it kind of got me thinking a little bit. You know, I could feel my inner emotions going to myself, okay, maybe they're onto something. Maybe I need to do my research. And I mean, I've been telling you guys the bull run's starting here since my research months ago now. But I still think we are in for a crash, right? So I think the bull run has started. But that's not to say the whales and the guys behind the scenes. There's plenty of whale groups. There's plenty of insider groups out there for them to move the markets whenever they so wish. And so that's why I always say whatever narratives tend to be brewing on top, there is a sub-narrative forming or being formed from these kind of people. And so I dare say that, you know, what do you do when you want to crash your market? You get people feeling quite good. Drop some big news out of nowhere. Everyone goes, holy shit, I'm so worried right now. And then the capitulation happens. So I think possibly we could. That's why I have just over now $20,000 in cash sitting on the side, ready to put into the market at a moment's notice. It's not in my bank account. It's within a crypto exchange itself, a regulated Australian exchange, which I am prepared to inject for that exact reason. Okay, so let's just keep it nice and clear right now. I think a crash is coming. Bull run probably is starting. It's just probably the way the cookie will crumble. They got to get their last positions in, right? So that answers that question, I do believe. And yes, of course, when Bitcoin crashes, the whole market will crash. That's kind of what will happen in this case. So here's the vote we're going to do before we continue, guys. Would people be keen on a vote A, as in this will happen, as in we will see a crash? Vote honestly. And vote B, if we think that we should hold off. Wait, hang on a second. Okay, so I guess we probably could. So he says vote A if we think this could happen and vote B if we should hold off for a bit. But they don't kind of contrast each other, I think. So I think a better one will be A, do we think this could happen? B, do we not think this could happen? And then a separate one, A, should we hold off buying or should we start DCAing now? And because you're all a part of this, I think this was a pretty good question to involve you guys with at the start of the stream. I apologize for everyone watching this after the live stream who has had to sit through the last 10 minutes and we haven't gotten to the juicy part of the video yet. Let's quickly do this first. Let's do a vote, guys. Get ready. Hey, Frizz, if you're driving, bro, you just keep driving, brother. Don't feel like you have to stick your finger on the phone. All right, so what do we think here? So do we think... Hang on a second. Start a poll. Crypto crashing before we rise to 2025. I think that's the best way I can put it. Yes or no? Let's see what the people think. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get voting. All right, I want to see you all voting. We have 73 viewers in the chat right now. I want to see minimum 50 people vote on this. I think minimum 50 people. If you're in here, you got to be voting, right? Let's get it. Let's get it. We got 10 votes, 11 votes. So far at the gate, we have 80% of people, 90% of people saying that we're going to have a crash. 20 votes are in. I think it's looking one way unless the next amount of votes all say no. All right. We've got 30 votes here. We've got 70 people in the chat, guys. 30 votes. Yeah, I think, about 40 people have voted so far. It's 86 to 14 in favor of yes, it's going to crash. So that's great. So most of us think it's going to crash. And so here comes the bigger question. Here comes the more important one that I think Trap Nuts was kind of leading into here, which is, do we think that it might be a better idea holding off investing into the portfolio? For those who are joining me for the first time, we're talking about the communal $5,000 portfolio, which one of you will win. Waiting for that moment, or do we think it's better to start buying now? So I want to give both sides of the story. I want to say really quickly here, now is a very good time to dollar cost average. Now, because I'm the one buying, I'm not giving... Can you guys still hear me? I don't know if you guys can still hear me or not. I think I just disconnected. So, anyway, we will continue. So, Kobe, $2. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it a lot. Crashing, a double bottom or new bottom? Good question. I perceive it as a new bottom, to be honest with you, bro. I perceive it as a new bottom. So, that's the way I would think this crash, because I think this crash should be a lot more severe and kind of really be the final shakeout, and then the rest... Buying that dip, you could almost, not financial advice, the way I would see that is you could almost like leverage trade that, or futures trade for the next, well, I don't know if the future contracts have an expiry date, but like leverage trade that to like the top of the bull run. That's what I've always thought of when I first got into crypto. I was like, if you could time the bottom, and I understand like fees will increase, but just like leverage trading right to the top from the very bottom. Again, that's like timing here, but that is what I'm waiting for. So let me just run the poll and then we'll move on. Okay. So the question we were asking is, do we hold off buying for the $5,000 portfolio? So again, if you're voting yes, if you're voting yes to hold off buying, we will wait for a crash. The danger with that is that crash may never happen, and we may be buying at 20-30% increases from these prices. On the contrary, if we nail that, this $5,000 portfolio, again, I'm estimating anywhere between $150 to maybe $250, $100,000 outcome. It could go more, it could go less, depending on the bull run. But if we nail down that timing, we will most definitely probably get an extra 30% on top of that. So yeah, let's see what you guys think, and then we're going to move into some of these lessons. Let's get it voting, people. We have 99 concurrent viewers. I expect at least 40 people in here to vote on this. We have 20 votes right out the gate coming through here. A lot of us, oh, it's kind of close. Hang on. No's taking the lead at 62%. So right now, people are saying it is not worth holding off for the portfolio. It's not worth holding off. How long to wait, though? I see Z in the chat. I apologize for not reading the chat as much as I should be right now. We'll come back to that in a second. How long do we wait, though? I think waiting till December is probably when we cut it. I think November, December is when we go, right, we've waited long enough, it's time we start DCAing. And I want to say for the record, DCAing at this point won't be the full, we're putting in the 666 for the top 3 projects and 833, yes, I've memorized the exact allocations. For the mid-cap levels, we're not doing that. We're going to divide those up. And I'll show you guys across the videos here. And this is this watch list right here, $5,000 portfolio. It's public, so you guys can go ahead and keep up to date on it. We have 51 votes so far. It's close. I mean, it's quite close. No is still winning barely. I'm quite surprised, right? I'm quite surprised here. I would have thought No would have just smashed through this, to be honest with you, only because I think it's probably the wiser choice we don't. Maybe we leave 1/3 of the portfolio for each allocation, 1/3 of it, in for a moment like that, but I don't think we wait for the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to close it off, guys. Most of you should have voted by now. If not, unlucky. Okay, cool. We'll end that there. Awesome, guys. Well, let's move on now. Let's segue into the actual premise of the video. And again, I apologize for everyone watching this after the live stream that's had to sit through 25 minutes worth of content for that. So, let's talk about it. Now, I've written some of these down because I've had a massive day today, and to be honest with you, I am a space cadet right now. I had to jot them down, otherwise I would have forgotten. Number one. Now, we're not ranking these in any particular order, but I want to stress the importance of each 4 of these mistakes. They wouldn't be mistakes worth mentioning if they weren't worth mentioning, okay? Mistake number 1, and I want to see a hand. I want to see your hands go up here, please. For anyone that has resonated with any one of these mistakes, and I can tell you a lot of you definitely will. Number 1, gaining consensus from multiple YouTubers to identify which altcoins are the best, then buying those. Who the hell here is guilty of doing that? Who here is guilty of saying, X YouTuber, hey, even No BS Crypto, right? Because I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. They've all said, Quant's a good project, so I'm going to buy Quant. That's the research right there. Yeah. I appreciate the honesty, Ben, Z, yes, Dennis, and Zach. Yeah, Michael, MD, yeah, Thomas, Andrew. We've all done it. I think most of us here have done it, right? Matt, Kobe. Yeah. All right, fellas. I hear yous. We've all done it. And why is that bad? Well, I think okay, so here's one thing. Markets are human psychology. That's all it is. That's all markets are. You go back to when markets were first created in Japan for the prices of rice. I think it was when it was like first. Well, there's always been like, some sort of value trade, right? But I think I remember seeing somewhere, or it wasn't necessarily trade and prices for trade. It was, I think actual, what do they call them? Hitachi candlesticks. But we go back to when like trade sort of started, and all trade essentially is what one person deems the price of a product is for another product, right? And so ultimately, I think what we're trying to do here is just make sure that we're hedging ourselves in a speculation environment. We aren't looking for things like the real nitty-gritty stuff that I used to look for. So what I was getting at that point there was that actually you do have some merit looking at a whole different bunch of YouTubers for their consensus, because they're the ones propagating a message to a larger audience, right? You look at news outlets. What do news outlets do? They do the same thing on a grander scale. And so I do think that there is some merit in this case. So if you are someone that does that still, I don't do it. I don't even watch YouTube very much, like let alone crypto YouTube, right? Funnily enough. But you do definitely have this position where you can sort of see that as, okay, there's a very positive narrative being built. The dangerous thing is that a lot of YouTubers, and I'm talking like probably a good 99% of you, maybe 95%, I should leave some room there for error, percent of YouTubers, they don't know what they're talking about, and so they pump a good narrative, but underneath there might be an actual problem that is brought up by someone that knows about it, and then everyone covers that negative news, and all of a sudden, a switch, flick of a switch, it's negative about the project. So we are in a speculation environment, so there is some for that, but I think the way that you can solve this, right, as someone who's an armchair investor, as someone who most of you probably are, right, you're sitting back, you're relaxing, you're like, I just want to watch 10 crypto YouTube videos when I wake up and when I go to bed, and I'm going to call it a day. I get it, because we're all busy. None of us have the dedication and passion and interest in crypto and investing as someone like me, right? So, and I get that. So what do we do to solve this? Well, we have to look at, in my opinion, we have to look at doing bare amounts of research. Like, and I know, no one wants to do the bare amount of research. I'm not talking about hours a day. I'm talking about, if you guys watch my video on like structuring like your goals and then like setting up sprints and then daily like targets, that paired with you doing bare minimum research, like I'm about to show you over here, right? Where are you? The hell is it? This is for speculation-based markets. You'll be fine. All right. Here's a little tricky thing, right? Now this is a different. I guess you could sort of say like intricacy within this, is that if something happens within, let's just say, another aspect of research, right? Let's just say there was, this teaches you about the narrative, the meme, the popularity, the supply, and the team. But let's say there was something wrong with like a really interesting part of the economics that some YouTuber brought out. Like say I made a video on it, right? And I was like, oh, hey, Quant's got this clause in the contract or this in the economics, and actually that's very, very bad, and it's probably going to end up being a rug pull. Not saying that, just hypothetical. And then other people catch on to it and start spreading the same message. That's a problem. But for the most part, if you can just look into these 4 or 5 things here, primarily these 4 things, you'll be fine. That's all you have to do. That's the research. Narrative, looking into narratives doesn't have to be a complicated thing, right? You don't have to look into what happened in the last bull run and this bull run and da-da-da-da-da-da. These bull runs are rapidly changing so quickly. So I wouldn't necessarily always look at the past, in this case for narratives, but definitely take it on board. Meme isn't even a thing with crypto. Meme's not even a thing with typical memes. Memes is like memetics, so it's like how things spread. I think it initiated from genetics, right? So anyway, there's a whole thing with meme, and it goes outside of crypto for sure. So that's a very important part. Popularity, all that pretty much means is looking for announcements, right? Possible announcements that could happen based on where the project is in the market. Web 2, Web 3, whatever. And also roadmap events. Those go into it as well. Supply, very basic. We're keeping it here, of course. Looking at the vesting, emissions, and distribution. What's the difference between vesting and emissions? Very simple. Vesting is the pre-mined tokens. A lot of these projects have pre-mined tokens. And then, of course... Hang on a second. My bad. I just saw a comment in my right sort of my eye, and I just looked at it, and my mind went that way. Anyway, so what was I saying again? Yeah, so vesting is the pre-mined tokens that the team distributes to different entities, and they unlock over a period of time. Emissions is what happens as the network is running, right? So through block rewards, and that comes out as steady inflation, right? You have to kind of account for those. And distribution, so who's getting how much? Simple, right? Simple. And then the team, because the team definitely has a mimetic potential as well. So the team is pretty important, because if they have a good founder, like Casper with a K, that, people talk about that, right? That's a good bullish factor. Let me see this comment that kind of caught my eye over here. Now, this is my problem, right? I was kind of being nervous about this. That's why my vision kind of went distract over here, because I don't actually have a current moderator for this chat. So I don't know if someone's being like racist, or someone's being like a nuisance in the chat. So I apologize if my distraction. Jaded says I'm subbing just for the beard. I apologize, guys. And by the way, I want to just say for the record, if anyone is, I'm gonna get my moderator back. So John, it's a bit hard for John, the old moderator, because he's from America and this is quite early for him. But we're going to be starting on those times in the next day, I think. Suiting to American markets. But if anyone in the chat, particularly guys, is being quite rude, like aggressively rude, just spam me, please. I apologize for not being moderated at this point. Okay, mistake number 2. Let me get a sip of water real quick. Yeah, Julius, I'm going to mod you for future, brother. 100%. 100%. Okay, let's press on. Mistake number 2. FOMO. Actually, before I do, guys, I just remembered this. I'm like, shit, I haven't plugged the Discord yet. But it's serious because the AMA is starting in about 20 minutes on the Discord. So we're going to end the live stream, but go on there for about another 30 minutes, 40 minutes, answer your questions on there. Just thought I'd point that out. Okay. FOMO buying because you haven't structured your portfolio when you should have. Right? So this only really applies to people that are actually in a bull run or had a bull run before. I guess we've had like a pump in the past, somewhat recently, that kind of happened. I had a few messages from people saying, hey man, do I buy now? Do I buy now? I'm just like, dude, the project's pumped like a little bit from there. I'm like, just hold off for a sec. We're in a bear market still, such like that. But I think put your hand up if you are someone who has FOMO bought before because you haven't been prepared. Dennis, first hand up there. Yeah, because, I've done this myself. This was something that I did a lot back in the last bull run was, again, I kind of listened to mistake number 1 and fed off influencers. And then I felt FOMO because they were like, hey, this project's good. And then it starts to pump a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to miss out. When in reality, I already had my X amount of I had my like 9 or 10 projects in. When I say research, pardon me, it was like very loose research. I thought it was good research. Fucking nowhere near good research for what we actually should be doing for this sort of stuff, right? And then I panic bought. And then what happened? I was part of the exit liquidity, of course, right? Whether the influencer was intentionally pumping or not, still it ended up that way. A lot of you guys are sticking your hand up. Guys, I'm going to apologize here because my mind keeps coming back to the chat. I don't know. Is there a little bit of a... I think there is a bit of a back and forth here between a couple of people. Anyway, Drian and Peter, before I continue, guys, let's just keep it civil, please. Let's get back into it, guys. So... what do we do to solve this? Now, here's what I say to solve this, right? You don't want to FOMO, so you got to be prepared early, right? And the only way you can be prepared early, in my eyes, is something that a lot of people don't agree with. I can tell you right now, like a lot of these people that are teaching on YouTube, they won't say this, but I say find price predictions. Now, I'm not talking about price predictions that are like these over-embellished numbers. Oh, like, H-bar is going to go to $5, $6, and I'm not talking that. I'm talking using realistic numbers and variables to come up with a very reasonable number, because what we do is we work back down, we find the price level, so we find our entry points. What's one part of price predictions. And then the second thing we do is find exits. That's what we do. And again, exits more so, we pencil them in. They will most definitely change when in 2024, early 2025, they will be penciled in as a rough framework, and we will do multiple different sort of revisits of those over time. But it's simple, right? If the altcoin that you've found, and again, you should find 10, you don't want to be, listening to people say, quickly, I've been like done all my research on quant, but this guy says, Chainlink's better than quant. Please no one get angry at me in the chat about that. And then, so I want to switch, I want to change last minute. It's like, no, you don't do that. Like, you don't do that. If you've done your research and you believe in it and you stand by it, fair enough, right? You'll find that only really happens when you haven't done your research. So anyway, you got to be a robot. If then that statement, right? So if the price, for example, comes off that minimum price prediction level, and the price buying right now is a 10x, and you're someone who's like, yep, I want a 10x, sweet. you can buy in. If you're someone who wants a 12x, oh, it's only a 10x or a 9x from here. Oh, what do I do? Do I buy? No. You could be a robot, right? You say no, and then obviously if then that. So then if the price falls to a level where you can 12x at the minimum, then you buy in then. If not, you're a robot. You don't do it, right? That's kind of like what we use price predictions for, and that's how you kind of partly avoid feeling FOMO, okay? And you can structure your portfolio that way. Again, having a set amount of projects and assessing a risk is very, very important per person. Okay. Let's revisit the chat. I haven't really been interacting with you guys too much, and I do apologize for that. How do we all think of that? And I must again apologize. I am like a bit of a space cadet tonight. It's been a big, big day. I'll go to 350. What does my price prediction chart say? My price prediction chart says it. Again, I'm not like living and dying by this. I'm not living and dying by this at all. But based on previous bull run performance, where it is right now, it's saying it can 40x, right? And we know this because algo has been like pushed down to like crazy low levels. That's why it came up with 40x. But yeah, I think algo most definitely can. Again, this was purely built off just using, of course the supply was accurate, previous data from dominance. So who really knows? I didn't account for any of the other variables, right? These are the other variables I account for in my price predictions on standalone videos, which is most definitely important. AG says I get only the input, but after I do my own research. Yeah, that's right. Jeremy, I hope you're joking, Jeremy. No, H-bar not going to $6, brother. Thanks, Jaded. Appreciate that a lot. What about Multiverse X? Yeah, we'll touch more on that in a second here. Let me just quickly cover the other two mistakes. Mistake 3 and mistake 4 real quick. So mistake 3, not worrying about exit strategies. Now, this is a very serious problem I see a lot of people falling for. So I had a subscriber I recently was on a call with, and I want to retract his name, and actually, super nice guy to talk with. But what he said was, he isn't going to worry about exit strategies per se, and he has a whole bunch of projects, like way too much projects, but his plan was, I have a lot of money to invest. I'm just going to 6x on all my projects. That's it. Okay? And the reason why he spread his projects so, it was like 50 projects, I think, or 60 projects, a mind-bending amount, was because one, he wanted to take advantage of narratives, which I can understand that mentality. This, by the way, he doesn't have a full-time job. This is his full-time job, so he can do this. Take advantage of the narratives and then spin them into the next narrative. So you guys know that I do talk about that, doing this, right? So you have like your, like payment narrative might pump up over here before the top of the bull run. And then, if you manage to sell at the top of these projects, very hard to do, but that's why you have to have exit strategies. And then you can buy back into a different narrative, for example, layer ones that pump later on, then you can take advantage. It's hard because who really knows? Like, I'm sure, like, if we were in the moment with H-bar here, right, we're like over here right now, I'm sure most of us, including myself probably, would have thought that this initial run up here would have been H-bar's all-time high. I would have probably thought that. I wouldn't have guessed that the retracement would have brought us to a higher level. I would have probably thought something like this would have happened, right? Over here with XRP or XLM, right? Initial pump up, drop, and of course, if you don't make your sells over here, you're pretty much not going to get out of the project because you think it's going to come back up. And when it doesn't, you're like, oh, it's going to happen now. It's going to happen now. It's going to happen now. And it never does. And that's how you get stuck holding the bag, which is why you have to have your sell strategies in, right? If it hits, it hits. My God, like, why wait? Why hold off here? Thinking that it's, so I'm not going to sell at these levels, even though I've marked them in my exit plan because I think it's going to go more later on. You can't be doing that, guys. It's gambling. You're gambling at that point. We want to make clean, clear decisions and have these already marked in. Okay, that's why we do this sort of price prediction stuff. But anyway, he was saying that he wanted to do this reinvesting strat, which is fine. It's fine. He wants a 6x. The problem with saying to me, or in general, hey, I want a 6x. I'm just going to 6x, and that's it. Is when you're in the bull run, when you're in the hype, the FOMO, the pure exhilaration of making money from thin air. I tell you right now, if you turn 10,000 into 60,000, if you turn $500 into whatever, 25K, you are not going to want to sell. A lot of us know this from the last bull run. A lot of us, because this is a very common mistake in crypto, because it's just going to keep going. And then you listen to influencers and you take their word for it. So my plan is, at least what I'm trying to say is, my plan is to have a clear sell exit strategy, okay? Because as I just pointed out, who knows when the top of projects are, all right? Let me just clear this real quick here because it looks kind of messy. Again, XLM's chart. No one knew that this was going to be the top for XLM and this was going to be, because Bitcoin peaked here, by the way. This is Bitcoin peaking right here. So Bitcoin didn't peak yet. Everyone was saying, Bitcoin to $100,000 up here. So most people got caught holding the bag, right? Very, very important. Right, so what do I say over here for my dot points? You can't time the market. Altcoins have their peaks at varying times to Bitcoin and other altcoins. So that's why we look at narratives, all right? These different narratives, and they pop off at different times. So, for example, gaming, right? Gaming peaked real late. Gaming actually peaked after Bitcoin. Bitcoin peaked, and I know it doesn't look like much. It looks like maybe a day or two, but this is zoomed right out. So this is actually, we're talking about a few weeks, if not a month, in between Bitcoin peaking and then the peak over here for gaming, all right? And we can just zoom down. Gaming peaked late, guys, all right? So, yeah, DeFi peaked early. Okay, very important you understand that. Okay. Mistake number 4, researching the wrong things. Very much so guilty. Now, this is something that I thought the more work you put in, and this is like the old school, this is like the old mind mentality. The more work you put in, the more you get out, right? I forget who I was talking with recently. It might have been a subscriber. I forget who exactly, but they were saying that their grandparents were saying to them that because they were making money online, right, that it wasn't good work because they were making money from sitting down all day, not doing actually anything physical. And that's kind of the outlook I initially had on crypto, right? It was like not so much obviously the physical part of it, but it was more so like just the amount of hours I put in, the amount of like pure labor I put into researching, the better. And of course that didn't come to fruition. I still screwed up deeply. And knowing what I know now, it's very important because you can get away with little research, like I'm telling you guys to do with just this, if you study these things as much as possible. You don't have to be an expert on each of these things, of course, but just know how they fundamentally work and just understand the human psyche, and you will come out on top. That's it. That's literally it. So what example can we use of following this sort of, human psychology? This, I think it all pretty well, the hell did I just do? I think it all pretty well focuses around the meme, right? Because the meme is pretty important in this. The meme essentially brings all the money into the project, particularly. The rest of the stuff boosts it, makes it more appealing, or at least you don't lose money. This kind of does help boost it, and this brings the money in to the general area. So the meme is probably the most important, right? Of course, the narrative is as well, but if it's a standout project, it's going to get views, it's going to get attention. So yeah, make sure you guys study up on the wow factor. This is a good example of ADA, actually, right? So the meme increases the velocity, the power, or the interest in the project. The narratives are what can cause a pump at a certain time. Roadmap announce as well can cause the additional boost. That's what you got to look at, right? So if you can understand that, don't worry about any other deeper research. If you have more time to look into stuff, how to read these charts. This is some pretty easy stuff, but I'll admit, when I first got into crypto, I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. There's too much color, there's too much numbers, there's too many buzzwords. Do your research and that, and you'll come out on top, right? When I first got into banking, I didn't even know what the hell inflation was. I knew what inflation was, but I didn't know that it could be a positive or a negative, right? I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know what term deposits were. So this is all things, your trainable skills, right? You just break it up into bite-sized bits. So guys, we're going to end up here very, very shortly. The AMA on the Discord is going to be starting soon. So I want to see you all there. I apologize for two things. One, for being a little bit out of it today. Again, big day. I went in the sun for a little bit, and as you can tell, I'm pale as shit. So when I go in the sun, I get exhausted quite quickly, and I apologize for not having the chat moderated. This is something I probably should do. I just worry that there might be some stuff being spoken in there. I want to have a very, I'm all for constructive criticism. When it starts getting personal, when people start pushing people because of their education level or because of how much they know about crypto, I hate that shit. Because that was one of my biggest fears, like interacting with communities when I first started. Are people going to judge me? So, how are you feeling about these mistakes? Has anyone else got any other mistakes in crypto? What else has happened in the big wide world? What's happening in your lives, guys? I apologize for not being more interactive this live stream. But if you are someone that's new, heed my warning. Just take those mistakes on board, please. Learn from the people that have thought the same things you're thinking, thought they were the master. Myself, years in banking, lots and lots of time spent researching different markets, right? Lots of books read in different markets, thinking I was the shit, because everyone thinks crypto is easy money, and people always hear the good, never the bad, and the consequence is losing lots of money. Thanks, Jaded. Peace, brother. Thanks for coming. Rated says, how long would you say the average narratives last? Well, as we saw over here, man, these don't last very long, right? These are pumps. They're not really, because you imagine, think of it like this. A lot of you guys, even if you new guys, would have been around for the recent pump with the whole layer 1 narrative thing, right? Well, you know how fast that came and went? It's crypto. It's fast, and it moves overnight, which is the scary thing, because you could be sleeping and things can happen and you can miss, which is why you shouldn't have a lot of projects. It's why you should not have a lot of projects. And, look at the spike. This obviously, this was probably between, this little area here would have been about a couple weeks. But it's always in the moment, because what do we do as humans? We check for validation. And so, in that moment, you're checking to see what influencers are saying. And when you hear 3, 4, 5 of them say, we're going up even further, XRP, screw this $3 mark, we're going at $10, it's going to happen. Look, we got this coming up and this and this and this. And you're like, holy shit, they're right. Oh my God, look at it. It's right in front of my eyes. As if I was going to sell it $3, please. And then next minute, it drops. And then you start panicking. And then those influencers start making XRP is going to 0, or XRP, it's going to go up again. Don't worry, guys. You're like, yep, no worries. It's going to go up, or you start panicking and then you literally shit the bed. And then it comes up, for example, and then you're like, okay, here it is. This is it. And then it tanks again. And then it goes up and it tanks. It goes up, and you get excited every time, and then it just never comes to fruition. So I would say, to answer your question, narratives, they're very fast. They move very fast. Do not... don't fall into the mentality of trusting influencers, and I'll say that as an influencer. Of course, what I say, I think I'm correct, and things do change over time. But I'm saying this out of just pure want you guys to succeed. Don't listen to influencers. Just do your own research. Glenn says, the more I know, the less I know. That is exactly correct. The more you know, the less you know. And that's one of the reasons why you might want to give up too. So, just chip at it, guys. Thanks, Z. Have a good evening, brother. Appreciate you coming in. I'm not supposed to sell the bottom. Preferably not. You don't want to be selling the bottom. You want to kind of sell when it goes to 0. I'm just joking, by the way. I don't know if people will actually take that. Obviously it's a joke, but you just never know. So Ali G says, people researching projects that don't actually have any interest in them or research them, I guess is what you're kind of saying here, is a major issue. It is a major issue, but no matter how many times I or others say that, people won't listen. It's just a part of the game. Someone's got to be exit liquidity, I think, Because, what you do when you don't research a project is you might think it's harmless. You might think, as long as I just do my exit strategy, that's fine. But if you don't know what you're investing in, it's a very big issue. So what do I say? You know, what does Warren Buffett say, and what do I kind of reciprocate is, if you can't write it down in 2 to 3 sentences, like why you specifically chose that project, it's not an investment opportunity in my opinion. Because if you bought a project and it crashes or something happens, good or bad, your only tether to that project being quality or a shitcoin is price. And that's a very dangerous slope to be on. Very dangerous. You can't, anyway, I feel like I'm repeating myself here a little bit, guys. I apologize. So yeah, just be careful about that. Don't ever associate with price. I see it in the comments all the time. This coin hasn't moved. VeChain hasn't moved. XLM hasn't moved. XRP hasn't moved. It hasn't reached all-time high again. Is it going to reach all-time high? Well, it's trending down, so probably not. It's like, it's all price affiliated. No one looks at what the business is actually doing. Do you think the narratives will follow a similar pattern as to when they will peak? Or will it be random based on what people are talking about? That is a good question, Paul. Very good question. I actually do not know just yet, man. I haven't dove into that sort of aspect of it, and kind of thinking about it now, again, I apologize because I am not on top of my game right now. I think, where would I even start researching that? Well, I think realistically, we probably should look back at the last bull run to see, well, obviously we can here, but then the previous bull run, right? So, like 2018, and see if anything played out. Now, again, like the bull run progression, the industry progression in those 5-year gaps is like 25 years in traditional markets. So, like, things are progressing so fast, it's hard to really like catch something that, you know, back in 2018 and even in 2021, really, and market is guaranteed for the future. So yeah, I don't really know per se, but I would say they will follow a narrative because it happened recently with the layer 1 narrative. It will follow narratives. I just don't know when they'll occur, which is, again, why it's very important that, again, these big swings that we have, again, over here, for example, if you're in XRP, okay, oh wait, you guys can't see. If you guys are in XRP and one of your sell orders is here, oh, now you can't even really see that line, okay, and it hits, and then it keeps going up, and you're like, oh shit, maybe I should have not sold there. It doesn't matter. If this was one of your price targets and you sold 10% of your portfolio, that's great. You know then, if you follow those levels, that you are, even if you sell here, even if it spikes and you miss the last spike, I do say to you guys, hold some of your portfolio in for those moments. But, you know, even if you sold all of it at that point, who cares? Because you know, before you even execute on those sells, exactly how much dosh you're getting out. And it's better to be safe than sorry. People selling bottom now are ones that need the money. Someone's that scared of having no money for bills. Yeah, look, this is it, right? Crypto is a hard one to crack because it's all pretty much speculation. All of it is speculation. So if you need that money to survive with, you're better off making guaranteed returns in the stock market or something like that. Again, you know, guaranteed ETF, stuff like that. Narratives are always random but fail at the end because they are fantasies, but FOMO phase counts. Yeah. So I didn't really answer the question before. I apologize. It's going to be hard to kind of guarantee when narratives are going to happen. When you exit a coin in the bull run, do you get it in first? When you exit a coin in the bull run, do you get it in first, or do you transfer it to a stable coin to avoid paying tax on the gains? Do you get it in first? I don't really quite understand the question 100%, Matt, so I do apologize. Rated raw. Will narratives come back around, or is it a one-time deal? No, I think narratives will come back around. You know, narratives will come back around. Cash. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, so you mean fiat? Okay, so when you're saying, okay, oh, get it in fist. It wasn't a typo. I thought it was a typo. Get it in fist or transfer it to stable coins. I getcha. Sorry, man. Personally, okay, I'm going to do a little bit of both. Because if you have it in fiat, as much as the world's going to shit, I think having a little bit in fiat is probably a really safe thing, just in case the stable coins crash. We're seeing some of the news recently with the whole stable coins and the European Union type regulations coming in here, and the whole thing with CZ. I don't know if you guys have read the news yet on that, but yeah, so stable coins aren't particularly safe until we have regulation in, and who the hell knows what's happening behind the USDT doors, right? It could, you know, a lot of it's kind of sus, and I think there was quite a few audits, like public audits done on what they were saying that the reserves were, and they had a whole heap of their reserves, particularly in a lot of these big stable coins, in like locked up in like loan terms, right? Like mortgages and shit, I'm pretty sure. I think like long-term bonds. So that's worrying. There's gonna be a liquidity crunch. So yeah, I don't know about percentages yet. To be honest with you, Mats, I think I'm probably gonna end up going like maybe, I'd say 50-50, but that's probably not what's gonna happen. But let's just say roughly that. Definitely a bit of both to be safe. Have you been in crypto from 2019 and have you made money? Drian coming out with a big question here. No, I got in about early 2020-ish, but I say that and people go, oh, psh. But the amount of research I've put in, I can guarantee you right now, is more than most people. And I say that with 100% pride, to be honest with you. And have I made money? Yeah, I've made money in crypto. Was one of the reasons why it helped me buy my property I have, right? But I lost a lot of money too. So, I mean, what are your thoughts about Gala versus IMX? I'm thinking IMX a better investment. Yeah, IMX is a solid project, to be honest with you, bro. Solid project. At this point, Gala, it's just so much turmoil. I don't know. Just so much turmoil. So I'd say the safer bet, and I use that in, you know, definite quotations, there's probably IMX, not financial advice. All right, guys, we're going to end it there. Thank you to everyone for being in here. Again, we're jumping right on, actually 8 o'clock on the dot. Sheesh. Exactly 1 hour. Into the Discord AMA straight after this. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you sticking right to the very, very end. And again, if you are just joining me, first link down below. We're going to go talk a lot more personally on the Discord server. All right, guys. I see you all tomorrow. I promise you'll get some good rest tonight, and we'll talk about some news-related things, okay? Take good care. Thanks.